So it was 2017, and I was in the Superdome in New Orleans with a few friends, Todd and Jen Rossnagel, and we were at the Joshua Tree Revival concert for U2. And you know, it was basically the place where all Gen Xers came to feel seen, right? And a few others that are fanning from different generations could appreciate this music as well. But we had gone through almost the whole set of songs, and we came to the end where those who knew something about the band knew what was coming. It was the song 40, which is based off of Psalm 40, one of the more famous laments in the Psalms of David. And Bono comes with very limited instrumentation, only the instrument of his voice to be the clarion call to many that had their cell phones lit and were ready to receive what his voice would bring. And he sang the lament of his heart. How long must we sing this song? How long? How long must we sing this song? How long? He continued to sing it and sing it, not just once or 5 times, but 8, 10, 12 times, to the point where it was almost uncomfortable for some that didn't know what this moment for the body was about. And he continued to sing in a way that there was only one way to respond. We couldn't allow that voice to stand alone. How long must we sing this song? How long? How long must we sing this song? How long? How long must we sing this song? How long? And the silence and the echoes of the voices was undeniable as a presence. As each band member left the stage, leaving only us as the voices and the presence in the world that would remain with an awareness of what we had just sung and heard, remembered, and done. It was as human and as involuntary as our own breath to join in that clarion call. To call for what we needed and to also call for what we know deep down to be true, that there is a God on the other side that actually hears our cries, even when that presence isn't readily apparent with action to meet it in the way that we expect. Each one of us, even the choir we have created today, as we sing that lament of how long, no doubt if you had any presence in your mind, some lament came to your heart and your mind, your very soul. Whether it was a lament in your personal life as an individual, maybe it's a lament that you share in the life of your family, or a lament in our state, in our nation, in our world today. And I invite you to be present to what came in an involuntary way as much as it would be like a breath, because in that, God is meeting you and me with a call we need to pay attention to. I know I had that awareness as I was standing in section 319 with tears in my eyes, as song called to awareness what my own thoughts and words over weeks before never could. And so why do I love this band and so many others who have the courage to speak and sing the intensity of these laments in their songs when every group around them might be singing in a whimsical way or in a way that might sell a few more records? It is because they are not afraid to enter the heart space that people need to receive, to know, and to also share. You know, some people asked me when they saw the newsletter today, Pastor, Sunday Bloody Sunday, couldn't you have chosen another song? There are much nicer songs that maybe we could have heard today, and certainly that's the case. That is a reality. As weeks passed, we've been bouncing beach balls and have been rocking to Dolly Parton tunes and hearing the soulful lyrics of Louis Armstrong and Taylor Swift. But today, we also claim that talking about blood is not a thing that Christians are supposed to be averse to. In fact, there is a narrative of crucifixion and resurrection in all of its forms in human life, and in certainly one life that is at the core of who we are in our hearts. This song that Warren and Susanna sung for us today, some of you may have heard it before in more of an electric kind of pulsing record. They did a more acoustic, drawn-down version that I think actually helps us hear the words differently and maybe more clearly. The inspiration of it, if you didn't know, was specifically from a 1972 massacre in a village in Ireland. Lisa, it just struck me that you probably know this well, having ministered in Ireland in many different ways and forms and places. This 1972 massacre in the village of Derry in Ireland, where English soldiers shot and killed 14 unarmed protesters in the North Irish town. And that shooting and injuring of unarmed civilians, it was in a little more than 10 minutes. Such carnage and bloodshed, injury and loss. The death of 14, including 6 who were under the age of 18. It was a trauma that in the hearts of the people of that village and all who surrounded it could never be forgotten. And yet, because the state was trying to suppress their voice of lament and that clarion call of rage and anger, over 50 years it was suppressed as a story with very little reconciliation or conciliatory tone from those who caused the carnage. Edge, the guitarist that may not be heard from as much as their lead singer Bono in the band U2, said, "We realize the potential for division in writing and singing a song like this. But all we can say is that we're trying to confront the subject rather than sweep it under the carpet." This makes sense that it would be a tension that this band in particular felt, as Bono's father and Larry Mullen's parents were Irish Catholics, and then Bono's mother and Adam Clayton and David Evans, the others in the band, all had Protestant leanings and connections with their parents and larger family. They were the epitome and the metaphor, the picture in themselves of the tension between the nationalists and others who were fighting for their space and voice in that time in Ireland and the surrounding British Isles. Ultimately, this song was connected to others who shared their own voice and clarion call whenever threats came and voices told them that they shouldn't. It wasn't the first song about a bloody Sunday. John Lennon and Paul McCartney, maybe you remember, both had protest records in stores before 1972. It became something that was not expected, but certainly not unheard of, that musicians would use their platform to leverage voices who were silenced. As Bono told Rolling Stone at the time, "I'm not interested in politics like people fighting back with sticks and stones, but only in the politics of love." From the Derry Journal, it took 38 years for an acknowledgement of what the families always knew to be true. But though there are no doubts as to what happened, we can reflect now on how we choose to remember what we and others recall with love when we hear this song, or every song and poem and reflection that others might have shared as a way of lament. Richard Rohr offers some words about lament, 2 words, in fact, that I think are instructive and helpful for us as Christians, thinking about how we are to posture ourselves and to take up space in these times in our own context, where maybe there are some questions of how long that reverberate in our hearts when we see our personal or family situation, or read The Advocate, or see reports on the internet or on TV. Father Rohr says, "Great wisdom traditions are trying to teach us that grief isn't something from which to run. In fact, we can't risk getting rid of pain until we've learned what it has to teach us." And then in the same vein, he offers, if we're willing to feel and to participate in the pain of the world, part of us will suffer that kind of despair. But if we want to walk with Jesus, and in solidarity with much of the world we have been called to love and to serve, we have to allow grace to lead us there as the events of life, whatever they are, show themselves. In a service that was commemorating the 50th anniversary of the Bloody Sunday Mass at St. Mary's Church in Cregan, Catholic Bishop of Derry, Donald McCown, officiated and said to the people there who had family members and friends they continue to grieve the loss of, he said, "There are others who want to let sleeping dogs lie and prefer not to grapple with these uncomfortable truths that might disturb our comfort in the present. But there is no other way. It takes a wise heart to look at the rubble of what has been shattered in the past to make it into a foundation for the future. If all we do with the past is to use it as a heap of angry stones to throw at other people, then we'll never be able to build. Either we process the rubbish of the past and make it into life-giving compost, or it lies in the corner and benefits no one." There's something that musicians and psalmists over time knew in this vein of what Father McCown was speaking about. In many of U2's songs, and especially in many of David's psalms, this tension that we bear as people of faith continue to be on display. In Psalm 13, one of the most condensed versions of a lament that I can remember seeing or reading, we are confronted not only with our need and our neediness in the face of God, and also confronted by the proclamation of God's unfailing love. This tension between the not yet and the already that meets us exactly where we are, that when we end, God's presence fully begins, even when we can't quite see it or be cognizant of how God is present or working, that presence is in fact not only in theory but in practice very much there, as Michelle so well spoke to that reality with the kids. Psalm 13, it is said that the agony and the ecstasy of human life and of life with God belong together as the very secret of our identity. So today, as we think about lament as deep grief, pain, sorrow, and regret, as we think about this lament that deals with the issues of our hearts and however our hearts are stoked or pinged or swelled or expanded in the understanding and awareness of what's happening in our lives and the lives of others. I pray today, friends, that we can see the ways that already in meditation, in word, and in song, we are being led to move toward outer change. Remember, the words that we heard from Sunday Bloody Sunday could have easily been a sanctimonious song talking about how those folks out there did wrong. But as often is the turn, there was always at the end this movement of not the friction out there, but what are we going to do about the friction in our hearts? It is always present if only we look. It is that tension and that friction, friends, that God continues to use to compel us to step, to move forward from Sunday into the other 6 days, to bring healing, wholeness, and new life. How long must we sing this song? Whatever comes with that question that sings from your heart, your lips, my heart and my lips, may we not be afraid to respond. In the name of God, who was and is to come. Amen.